Yo, what's going on YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and we are taking a look at Anaheim Ducks forward Rickard Rakell, as hockey insiders over the past couple of weeks have been mentioning Rickard Rakell in a couple of trade rumors. He's been on the trade board for a couple of, The Athletic, as well as a couple hockey insiders. So now we're going to take a look at a couple of teams that may be interested in Rickard Rakell, and we're going to make some mock trades for the top 6 forward. We'll be doing that right now. If you guys like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey and want to see the latest news around the NHL, you guys know what to do. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and even bigger subscribe down below, and let's take a look at Rickard Rakell. Alright, so we're going to start things off with a couple of teams that David Pagnotta reported last week that we could see the Anaheim Ducks looking to explore a trade with Rickard Rakell, and those teams are the Boston Bruins, the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Pittsburgh Penguins, and the Edmonton Oilers. Now, if you notice a theme with all 4 of these teams, cap space. None of these teams have a lot of cap space, and if you look at Rickard Rakell's contract, which is probably the most satisfying thing about him, is he is on a lower contract. You look at Rickard Rakell, he's getting paid for this year and next year, so he'll be a pending unrestricted free agent. He'll be in the summer of 2022. He will get his pay raise, hopefully. And he's making $3.789 million per season. Now, this is a really good contract for the Anaheim Ducks, and it's going to be very attractive to other teams around the league who, for under $4 million, can get a legitimate top 6 forward. He can play center, has been more suited on the wing this year, but he is a very versatile forward, and I think this is a guy that those teams in particular are going to be interested in. So, let's take a look at the Boston Bruins first. So, we're going to see a Rickard Rakell straight up for these assets. Obviously, you could get into more deep trades, but this is just a mock trade. It's not anything really crazy. We're just trying to gauge the value of a player like Rickard Rakell at this point. And this is a little bit interesting. He's going to cost a pretty penny, I think. And depending on how many suitors there end up being, the asking price is going to go up. Now, the question is, Rickard Rakell has struggled this year and last year, like the rest of the Anaheim Ducks, but he's had some pretty solid seasons in the league, so it kind of questions, well, where is Rickard Rakell's value? So, we're going to take a look at what we could see. So, remember, guys, the value of players has gone up significantly, and the reason I say that is because we've seen, look what Jean-Gabriel Pageau went for at last year or 2 years ago's NHL trade deadline to the New York Islanders. I think it was like a first, 2 seconds, and a prospect. I mean, it was a pretty expensive haul for Jean-Gabriel Pageau, who, let's be honest, is a pretty good comparable to Rickard Rakell, if we're going to be completely honest. So, a second line, third line center can play first line on a rebuilding team. That's kind of what you have in Rickard Rakell. And like I said, he goes for a pretty penny at certain times. And I think we're going to see something pretty similar in this trade. So, with the Boston Bruins obviously have shown interest in Rakell, but it's going to cost them a lot. It's going to cost them left shot defenseman Urho Vaakainen and a 2022 second round pick, or a 2021 this year second round pick. Now, the reason is draft picks are a little bit off the board this year. You don't, obviously, with a lot of leagues not playing this year, it's made it hard for scouting to occur. And obviously, we're going to see the draft in July this year, so that changes things as well. But we also have to remember that the league has definitely shifted, especially with the draft picks this year, the value being returned. Obviously, a team like Boston wants a guy like Rakell. He's he's in the United States, so they don't have to worry about the 2-week quarantine. So those are some factors that I think put Boston ahead of maybe a team like Toronto or Edmonton, and I think they would be a really good fit. Urho Vaakainen, a really solid left shot defenseman. It looks like the Ducks are trying to rebuild their blue line as well, not to mention just their forward group. So I think Urho Vaakainen, a really nice piece in that deal. The Bruins already have a plethora of good left shot defensemen like Jeremy Lauzon, as well as what's the other guy's name? I forgot his name. Lauzon and the other guy, I forgot his name. But those guys are starting to develop for the Boston Bruins. And honestly, Urho Vaakainen has been on the taxi squad for a lot of this season, so maybe he becomes a valuable asset to bring in a guy like Rickard Rakell. Moving on to the Toronto Maple Leafs, we've got a left winger center, Pierre Engvall, coming in at $1.25 million per season for this year and next, and a 2021 first-round pick. Toronto's pick is likely going to be between 16 and 30. I'm just going to assume they are going to make the playoffs this year, and they could go on a run. So this could be even a mid-20s draft pick. The Toronto Maple Leafs are, they don't need Pierre Engvall as, I mean, again, we're talking about Rickard Rakell replacing Engvall, so as a depth player. So you don't really need him as much when you bring in Rickard Rakell. Rickard Rakell helps with the cap because he's coming in at, I think they only need to move around $1.5 million. So they'd be able to do that with Pierre Engvall, and they'd have to probably make another roster move, which may be interesting. But you've also got to throw in the first-round pick. That's the big asset in this deal. Likely doesn't need to be lottery protected because Toronto is going to make the playoffs this year. We could safely assume at this point. So I think a first-round pick and a depth player like Pierre Engvall would fit in well for the Anaheim Ducks. Moving on to the Edmonton Oilers, staying in the North Division, you've got right shot defenseman Evan Bouchard, as well as a 2022 second-round pick. Evan Bouchard, right shot defenseman. He's got 3 years left on his entry-level contract. He's going to draw interest from a team like Anaheim, who, like I mentioned, they've tried to rebuild their defense on the fly, and I think a guy like Evan Bouchard would be a quick fix option for them. You also throw the second-round pick in there as well, maybe a 2021 second-round pick, kind of just a lottery. Again, that's how these draft picks work. It's kind of a guessing game, but again, you pick up another asset. I think that would be good for both sides. I think Edmonton needs another, scoring top six forward. We've talked about this for a long time. They need that guy in there, so you bring him in. Evan Bouchard has to go the other way, though, which kind of sucks for the Oilers. But again, you've got some good defensemen. You don't have the money to re-sign him once his entry-level deal expires. So maybe trade him while his value is hot, as well as pick you up a second-round pick. You're acquiring a really good player in Rickard Rakell. And then the last team we're going to look at is Pittsburgh. And this one was quite easy for me to figure out. The Pittsburgh Penguins, in order to acquire Rickard Rakell, it's going to cost them forward Samuel Poulin, who is on the first year of his entry-level deal. We saw him in the playoff bubble in 2020. Did not perform that well for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Was hoping for a lot more out of him, as well as the Pittsburgh fans. The Black Ace hype obviously didn't work out for Poulin. He isn't on the roster this year either on what you could consider as a pretty depleted Penguins team. So Samuel Poulin, as well as a 2021 second-round pick. So basically, if you're watching here, basically you've got an A-B level prospect with a first or second round pick. That's likely what you're going to see for Rickard Rakell, and I think he's more likely going to garner a second round pick. You're going to get a decent asset, a B-level prospect, and a draft pick, and I think that's kind of what we're seeing with a market for Rickard Rakell. So like I said, I think all these teams are really good fits. We've heard that the New York Islanders have shown interest in Rickard Rakell as well, but I think the interest is there from around the league, and I think a team like Anaheim can get a couple of good assets, especially at that low cap hit per season, is going to generate some interest from around the league. Guys, that is it for today. Guys, I just want to give a quick plug. If you guys are interested in our Goal Line Hockey 1K beanie, you got the Goal Line Hockey logo, which is going to go extinct very shortly. So this is only a limited time edition Goal Line Hockey, the original logo. Once we hit 1K, we are going to have a logo change, so I will be announcing that hopefully in the next couple weeks when we hit 1K, as well as the 1K stitching on the back. So a pretty memorable moment here at Goal Line Hockey. We're going to hit 1,000 subscribers. So if you're interested in getting one of these toques, beanies, whatever you want to call them, go to our Instagram at goalline_hockey. You can contact me directly, and we'll figure out how to get your shipping information as well as the payment and all of that stuff. So, guys, if you're interested, at goalline_hockey on our Instagram, DM me, and we'll try and get you set up with the beanie. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys later.